And there was one ayah, I think lesson 1. I remember it's, I forgot which ayah it was, but anyways, it was with that. Wallahu Ghaniyyun Halim. Okay, so yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Basically it's contextual.
Contextual, yeah. You have to start thinking that is this word describing it or is it giving information about it? So are you telling me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghani, or are you describing Him? You're saying, are you telling me Allah is free of need, or are you saying the God that is free of need? You see how in English a little bit, I mean it's playing with words, but you kind of contextual like you said. You have to kind of understand, and that's the thing about the Quran. Alhamdulillah, once you start learning and you start getting that, you start seeing the signs, you'll start recognizing like that, you'll know the difference right away, inshallah. Okay, next one is the mansoob. Okay, halat al-nasab or mansoob. Okay, nouns and adjectives which end in fatha. Okay, nouns and adjectives which end in fatha, these are said to be in the mansoob case. Okay, the nasab case, which end in fatha. Okay, so when is a word mansoob? When is a noun mansoob? When it is controlled by particles. And we talked about inna. I mentioned a few. On your free time, if you want to go skip ahead to just to read it, the nasab gang. Okay, we have the nasab gang, lesson number 10. That gang, that's the ones they like to push people around. They like to push the asma around, and they change the rafa to the nasab. Okay, so here we have it is controlled by particles like inna, anna, lakinna. So those nasab gang. If the ism, if the noun comes after one of those particles, it becomes mansoob. Okay, the ending becomes mansoob, and if it has a fatha.
बाद में था दिन सब चढ़ते रहते हैं हमें क्या ये अभी वो साहब नहीं है रिमोट का
Okay, so if it's controlled by articles, inna Allah bima ta'maluna basir. Here we have inna is before the ism. Lafz jalala comes after inna. Okay. Now, because it's coming after the word inna, that's why it's mansoob. It has a fatha at that because it's mansoob. Okay. Next one, if it is the object, the maf'ul of a verb. Okay. So every verb or most verbs are actions that are doing, and then you do the action on something. And we're going to go over that, inshallah. That's actually part of after the 10 lessons, so we're not going to go over this in this session. But inshallah ta'ala, in the future, if ever we go on to the next part of the course, there are two types of verbs. One that has an object, it acts upon something, and then other verbs that don't have an object. So if it is an object of a verb, then it is mansoob. So here we go back to that second example we had earlier. أَعَدَّ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for them. And then you ask the question, be investigative again. Ask, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prepare? Okay? What is the object of the verb أَعَدَّ? What is being prepared? عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا. A severe punishment is being prepared. So عَذَابًا شَدِيدًا is the maf'ul, that's why it's mansoob. Okay? Next, also, yes. Yeah. Yes. Particle, this is a different type of particle. See, there's different groups of particles, and inshallah, when we go over lesson 10, you'll see inna and the nasab gang, when they're before a noun, they change that noun. Okay, and waw doesn't change it. It depends on which waw you're using, but it doesn't change it. Okay, so that's why there's a difference. That's why that one's not changed, and this one is changed. Okay. Okay, another way to know another reason why a noun might be mansoob is if it is the hal, if it is an adverb, okay? And an adverb, we know it describes, excuse me, it describes how, or you could say where or when an action occurs. Okay, how, when, or where an action occurs, that's an adverb. Okay, so it describes the state or condition of how the verb is being done. Okay, and when we say, like for example here, I gave, excuse me, in English, walk slowly, or he was walking slowly. Okay, the person was walking. We know the person doing the action is the he. What was he doing? He was walking. How was he walking? He was walking slowly. So that word slowly, that's the hal. That's describing the action, how the action is being done. So when we say that this is describing either the person, how he's doing the action, or how the action is being done, that is the hal. Okay? So here we have, for example here, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. That here Allah SWT is saying that we have sent you, meaning sent the Prophet ﷺ. He's been sent as a mercy for mankind. So what has he sent? What was the condition as how he was sent? He was sent rahmatan. He was sent as a mercy for mankind. Okay, and this also can be maf'ul lahu, which was something else. That means why was he sent? But we'll go with it. But this is actually how he was sent. That's one of the things you could say, is that he was sent as a rahmah, in the state of being a rahmah, as a mercy for mankind. Okay, next slide. Here we have the majroor case. Okay, so there's only three conditions. Okay, we have three conditions. We have the marfu', we have the mansoob, and we have majroor. This is the three states of i'rab. Okay, the three states of i'rab is marfu', mansoob, and majroor. The third one, majroor here, nouns and adjectives which end with a kasra are said to be in the majroor state. Halatul jar or halatul majroor. This is the nouns and adjectives that end with a kasra. A noun is majroor when it comes after a preposition. Okay? If it comes after preposition, and if you want to skip forward to lesson 8 for a second, skip forward to lesson 8, and you see that lesson is about, that lesson is actually about prepositions, okay? And there's 17 prepositions we're going to be going over, inshallah ta'ala, when we get to that lesson. And these prepositions actually change the state. It changes the i'rab of a noun. Okay, so any noun that comes after those 17 prepositions has automatically is majroor. It automatically has a kasra at the end of it, it's majroor. Okay, so that's number one. If it comes after a preposition which is called huruf jara. Huruf jara, which are huruf jara being prepositions. We have, for example, ala, fi, ila, and then you see all the 17. And also, I'd like you guys to not just stick to the lesson, but just go ahead. You know, like today, for example, we're talking about preposition. Go ahead to lesson 8 and just read over it a little bit, so you can kind of get a grasp and understanding of what a preposition is and the meanings and what they do. Okay. So here we have ala jabalin, on the mountain. Okay. Jabal has jabalin. It has two kasras. You can't see it there. It's not there actually. Yeah, it's not there. But just I want you, actually pencil in or pen it in. Put two kasras on the lam of the jabal. Sorry, the jabal. Ala jabalin. Okay, ala jabalin. So that kasra, those two kasras, that's a sign that this is. That's a sign that this is marfu. Why is it majroor? Because it comes after the preposition. Okay. Next, another way a noun is majroor is if it is a possessor. Okay, if it's a possessor, meaning someone who owns something, an owner of something. Okay, so if it's a possessor, mudaf ilayh. If it's a mudaf ilayh, and a murakkab idafi. Murakkab idafi is when you have the possession and possessor relationship. Okay, so for example, if I say my book, my pen, my chair, my table, whatever you say, that's you have a possession, which is the object or the item, and then you have the possessor, which is, for example, me or you or whoever you're talking about. That's murakkab idafi. Okay, so here we have, if it's mudaf ilayh, then it's always majroor. Always majroor. So here we have example, Rasulullah. Okay, the messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullahi, why don't you guys pencil in again? Which word, first time, which one of these is the possessor? Which one is the owner?
Allah.
Lafz Jalala. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the owner. Okay? So because Lafz Jalala is the possessor, it's a mudaf ilayh, it's always majroor. So we put, what do we put? Two kasras? Or one kasra? One kasra. Why do we put one kasra? Barakallah, because it's definite, okay? So Rasulullahi, okay? Rasulullahi, and so that's the first example, and that he at the end, that kasra, that shows that this is majroor. Next example, Zawjatu Rasulillahi. Now one thing is that you can have, I think, yeah, I wrote in the note also, that possession is always definite when possession is mudaf ilayh, can have the alif lam attached to it. Okay, this is a different note, but you have Rasulullah, let me go back to that note. Rasulullah, okay? You have Rasulullah, which means the messenger of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I cannot ever say Ar-Rasulu Allahi. Okay, I cannot say that. Because the mudaf has to drop the alif lam. It's always indefinite. Even, I mean, it's not indefinite in its word, but the alif lam drops. Okay, the alif lam drops. So it's Rasulullahi. Also, another thing I want to mention was that you can have any number of mudaf ilayh relationships all together, jumbled together. So you could say, like for example, let me give an example of this pen. In English, I could say the tip of the lead of the pen of my brother. Okay, just say this is my brother's pen, okay? So I say the tip of the lead of the pen of my brother. Okay, you see how there's like jumbled in together, there's like different, all types of possessors in there, right? Now, for example, here we have Zawjatu Rasulillah. We have said Lafz Jalala is the possessor, He's the owner, okay? He owns all of us, He owns everything, He owns Rasulullah, He's the creator of all of us. So that's Allah. There's another possessor in here. Can someone point that out? Rasul. Okay, barakallahu feek. Okay, Rasul is also a possessor, and don't take this wrong way, not meaning that he owns the woman. I don't want anybody misquoting me on that. But basically, it's showing that not ownership, but I don't know what else to say. But whose wife? The wife of Rasul. And who is the Rasul of who? Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, you guys understand that? So we have Zawjatu Rasulillahi. Okay, now the rule we said is that if it's mudaf ilayh, if it's a possessor, it's always majroor. So there's two possessors here. Which ones were they again? Good, barakallahu feek. Okay, so Rasul and we have Lafz Jalala. Okay, so both of these words have to have what at the end of it? Kasras, good, okay. Now, Lafz Jalala, we know that it's definite, and we put one, okay, one kasra. Rasul, do we put one kasra or two kasras? Two? Who says two? Raise your hand if you say two. Raise your hand if you say two. Okay, raise your hand if you say one. Everybody says one. Okay, and do you know what the reason is? Why do we say one? Why is there only one? Yeah. What's the reason? Why is Rasul only one kasra?
Because it's definite, it shows that it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a definite Rasul.
Very close, because it's the mudaf. Okay, because it's mudaf, it has a murakkab idafi. So the mudaf cannot have a tanween, nor can it have an alif lam. Remember I said that just a minute ago, alif lam drops and the tanween drops. Both are absent. So only one can remain. Okay? So we have Zawjatu Rasulillah. Okay? Now let's go on to the examples from the Quran, inshallah ta'ala. So we still have what? Okay, we start.
20 minutes.
Sorry? Oh, you Great. So here we have the first one. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Okay, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Ihdi, this is from Hidayah, which means guidance. Okay? Hudan, Huda or Hidayatan, which means to give guidance. Ihdina, this is a fi'l amr, meaning it's we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot say we're commanding Allah, we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that ihdina, guide who? Guide us. Okay, guide us to what? as-sirat al-mustaqim, to the straight path. What is this? Do you see anything here? First of all, there's a pronoun here. There's a na, and there's some kind of relationship here. Sirat al-mustaqim. What kind of relationship is this again? Murakab tawsifi. Okay, it's mawsuf and sifat. And again, mark it in your books. Put the meme or the M and the S and the sad. Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Guide us to as-sirat. You know, if we stop there, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ihdina as-sirat. Okay, if we said guide us to the path, that would have been enough. That was a complete sentence, it makes sense, everything's fine. But then there's, we're putting an adjective there, describing that path. So what kind of path are we asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to? Guide us to the straight path. Okay? Guide us to the straight path. Istiqama, which means to be straight and to be persistent and to be consistent with something. So istiqama. Okay? So istiqama, istiqamatan, to be straight on something. Okay? As-sirat al-mustaqim. And can someone tell me which state is this as-sirat al-mustaqim? Is this marfu, majroor, or mansoob? Which one is it? Mansoob. I think one of the sisters said it too. Mansoob, okay? It is mansoob. How do we know it's mansoob? Because there's a what at the end? There's a fatha, okay? There's a fatha at the end which shows that this is mansoob. And also why is it mansoob? Remember we went over the reasons why a word is mansoob? Which of the reasons here?
The subject of the word.
Not the subject.
Ihdina as-sirat.
It's not the subject. Remember, the subject is the one who does the action. So if we say the subject of this action is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can love Jalal. I'm sorry?
The object of the word.
Object, barakallahu. It's the object, it's the maf'ul. Maf'ul bihi, which means the object. We're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide. And actually the one thing is, this is something to future note, just to say it now. There's two objects here. Can someone tell me what's the second object? As-sirat mustaqim, that's one. Murakab.
Ihdina.
Na.
Na.
The na. Barakallahu fi. Good. The na. Okay? Because we're asking Allah to guide. Who are we asking to guide? Guide us. So us, that's the maf'ul bihi number one, al-awwal. And then you have a-thani, which is guide us to what now? We're asking Allah to guide us. Well, guide us to what? Guide us to the straight path. Okay, so that's why it's the object, it's the maf'ul bihi, that's why it is the it's mansoob here. Okay? We'll skip this one. We'll skip that one. Let's go to the next one. Here we have وَلَا تَنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكَاتِ وَلَا تَنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكَاتِ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنَّ. And do not marry the disbelieving women. And this doesn't mean the disbelieving women as in Ahlul Kitab. Ahlul Kitab are exclusion. It's excluded from this. But وَلَا تَنْكِحُ, do not marry, نَكَحَ يَنْكِحُ نِكَاحًا, which means to marry. Do not marry al-mushrikat, the mushrikat, the disbelieving women, حَتَّى يُؤْمِنَّ, until they become believers, until they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا أَمَّةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ. Okay? So the believing woman, the believing slave, even not even just believing woman, but a slave girl, a believing slave girl is better, khayr, is better than a mushrika, even if the mushrika pleases you, is pleasing to the eye or pleases you or whatever, is good looking or it's rich or she's rich or whatever the reason may be, or you want to marry her. But even a slave girl who is Muslim and has Iman is better for you than that, and than that type of mushrika. وَلَا تُنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكِينَ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنُوا. And for the women, Allah SWT is giving us the order, do not marry the women, do not marry the Muslim women to the mushrikeen, to the disbelieving men, until they become Muslim, until they believe. وَلَا عَبْدٌ مُؤْمِنٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكٍ. And even a slave, if a Muslim slave, a mu'min slave, believing slave, is better than the mushrik, is better than a disbelieving man. وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَكُمْ. Even if he may be pleasing to you, meaning that he's handsome, he's rich, he's whatever, but he's a mushrik, he's not Muslim. It's better to even get the Muslim woman married to a slave, a Muslim slave, than to that man. Okay, we'll stop there. Okay, in this part that I read so far, up to وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَكُمْ, can someone find asma. Find some of the nouns we have here. Barakallah, al-mushrikat, good. What else? Wal-amatun mu'minatun, good. Khair, good. Khair, actually this is also, but yeah, we'll just go skip that. What else? Go ahead. Mushrikat, good. What else? Ajabatkum, the kum, barakallah fi, the kum at the end, that kum is a pronoun. Okay, so that's also a noun. And the sister said al-mushrikeen, right? Okay. I'm sorry. Abd, barakallahu fikum, good. Abdun, good. Mu'min, good. Khair again, good. Good. Ukum, good. Okay. Now I'm going to break for just half a minute. I'll give you 30 seconds. I'd like you guys to go through, underline again. I forgot the email I sent yesterday now, but the circle, the masculine, and square, whatever I said. Which one was that, right?
Circle is masculine.
Okay, circle is the masculine. Okay, square the feminine. Good. So I want you to circle the masculine, square the feminine nouns, and I want you also to find, if you find Murakkab Tawsifi, write M and S for that, and what else? If you find a pronoun, if you find what else, half a minute. We'll break up into groups, your groups of your tables. Go ahead and do that, please. Okay, let's go now. Can the second table? I'm sorry, I didn't count you guys yet today. The second table on the right, the brothers. If you guys can tell me, where did you find any Murakkab Tawsifi in this ayah? I'm sorry, which one? No, that's not Mawsuf Sifa, but that is a noun. It is a noun, but Murakkab Tawsif meaning Mawsuf Sifa, a word that is this brother. No, sorry. Khair means better than.